Hi all, Mr. McRae here doing another great and fun and exciting video, this time on functions, where we're going to talk about four different terms. Last time we talked about domain and range, we talked about input, output, and I think we talked about all real numbers and things like that. Okay, so this week we're going to talk more about the graph itself, and we're going to determine the increasing, decreasing, maximum, minimum points, and then we're also going to talk about how to write those with integral notation. Okay, so the minimum maximum does not going to use integral notation, but the increasing and decreasing will. Okay, so let's just talk about the definition. So increasing is increasing in the graph is basically where the y value increases and your x increases as well. So an example of that would be something like this. Here's the graph. I don't know. Let's make it like a parabola going this way. Okay. So increasing would basically be this point to this point. So this whole thing would be increasing. Okay. So because again, it goes up in the x value and it's going up in the y as well. So this would be the increasing portion of it. Okay. And again, we'd write that using integral notation at this point. Okay. Now, decreasing is basically where the y value decreases and the x value increases. So give me another example of that. Basically, at this point, here's another parabola, okay, going up and down the u. So right here, same thing. So this one's going downwards. So this would be the decreasing portion of DSC. Okay, this would be the decreasing portion of it going downwards. Okay, and how we would write that is basically by integral notation as well. And I'll show you what that means in a minute and do some practice problems. Okay, so the next portion is the maximum. What is a part of the graph that has the highest y value? Okay, remember it always has to be y. So again, it'd be this right here. Now, if we have this, a parabola going this way, boom, like this, the highest point would be right here. So that would be the max. Okay, and no integral notation on that one. It'll be like x equals 4 or something like that. Now, the minimum would be obviously the opposite of that. So again, here is a graph. Let me do a polynomial to give you a different look. Okay, so we have the graph going like that, and then maybe it comes up and it goes up this way. So the minimum would be basically this point right here, where it says it stops right here, but this minimum should be right here. That's the min. Okay, that's the lowest point in the graph on the y axis. Okay, and that's how it will work. Okay, and then you just write. Okay, so this is 8. So you write x equals 8, and that would be how it would work in that situation. Okay, now the question is integral notation. So basically, integral notation shows where values fall between two endpoints. So let me give you an example of an integral notation here. So say we're looking for the increasing portion. What is the increasing? Where is the graph increasing? Okay, so say we have we'll make a parabola here on this way. Okay, so basically we got to find out where it's increasing. So at this, if you look at it here, the rule was basically the y value has to be increasing, and the x axis has to be increasing as well. Okay, and that's the rules for that. Okay, so as you can see here, if we have this point right here and it's going upwards, okay, so it's going upwards, going this way. Let me actually change that to red so we can actually see that a little better. Well, let me just erase this real quick and rewrite this so we can actually see it a little better. Okay, here it is, boom, like this. Here's the point, here's the other point. So the increasing portion, let me change the color so we can get that understanding, is right here in this red line, boom. This is the increasing portion that we're going to be talking about. So between this point right here and this point right here is the increasing portion. So let me say if this is 4, maybe at this point is like, I don't know, that's like 6, okay? So basically, the rule is for integral notation, show where the values fall between the two endpoints. So the endpoint is right here is 4, and the other endpoint is 6. So we have to show it using integral notation. So the old way we used to do it is basically, okay, we know it's between 4 and 6. We can say x is greater than or equal to 4. And then the other one, we could say x is less than or equal to 6, okay, because it was between 4 and 6. So interval notation would basically mean that we'd have to, for some way, we'd have to put x in the middle, and then we would have to represent those two endpoints on each side of it. So we could easily take the first one because that one is on to the right. So we say that is less than or equal to 6. So we just put less than or equal to 6 on that side. Now the other side is, okay, now we have x is greater than or equal to 4. Now if I did that on this, it basically looked like that. It looked like that. Sorry. If I did this on the in the graph itself using interval notation, it would look something like that, okay? But is that correct though? Now remember, it says to the, usually you write inequalities, you're gonna write from left to right, okay, this way. But going backwards this way, okay, it means something else. So if you think about it, this means that x is less than 4, okay? So actually what you have to do is actually flip the sign around. Okay, and that's an important thing is you're going to actually have to flip the sign around. So instead of having it being less than, you just flip it to same way. So basically what we're saying is that x is greater than 4, and then also it's less than 6. So the only thing is the lowest number, the sign would have to flip. Okay, so from greater than 4, now it's going to be, looks like it's going to be less than 4, but it isn't really the same way. It's just basically that we're looking at it from left to right instead of right to left. Check that back. Looking from right to left, left to right, and this one is looking left to right as well. So that means it's just opposite. Okay, so you have to flip these signs. Okay, and so that's how interval notation works. It's just basically trying to flip the signs the best you can. All right. Again, it's going to take a little practice to get it right, but I think that everybody after a while should be able to get it and be able to do it well. All right. So let's practice a couple problems before we get out of here, and we'll let you go. All right. So here's the first problem here. Let me go all the way up. This is the do now problem. So basically, I'm going to do the max. I'm going to do the minimum. I'm going to do increasing spots and decreasing spots. And I'm going to do them in terms of interval notation. Okay, so okay. So let's find the max spot first. So max spot is, this is the y-axis, this is the x. So the rule is that you got to find the highest y value, boom, right here. So that would be the maximum. Okay, the maximum would be right here, which would be 30. So 30 and 5. So we can actually just write the coordinate point if we want as well. So we've got 5 and 30. That would be the maximum. The minimum, okay, looking down to the lowest y value would be right here, the origin. So that would be 0, 0. Okay, right, the origin. So that's the max. That's the min right there. Now, the increasing and decreasing. Okay, so let's look at the increasing. Basically, it says the x has to increase and the y has to increase. So looking at it right here, boom, from here to here is an increasing portion, right on the line. This right here is also an increasing portion right here as well, right here to here. So looking at it, so here's the endpoint. One is 0, the other one's 2. And here's another increasing point right here. We have 3, and then we have 5. So between both values. Now we'd have to write two interval notations because again, we have a constant point here. So let's think about it, okay? So it has to be x is greater than, it's going to be greater than 0, but it's also going to be less than 2. So how we would write that? We write 0, and then we write less than or equal to x, and the other one would be less than or equal to 2. That would be number 1. That. Okay, that would be the first interval. Second interval, we would write 3 is less than or equal to x, and then we have the other one less than or equal to 5, like that. Boom. Okay, so those would be two decreasing portions of it. Now, most of the time, it's going to be all the same way, so it should be pretty easy to do after you get a hang of it. Okay, decreasing basically means that the y is going down, but the x is still increasing. So at the maximum point right here and all the way down would be the decreasing point. So that basically would be 5 and 7. And this would be decreasing. Increase I and C, and this would be I and C as well. So how would we write this? So if it's decreasing, okay, so basically what we're saying is that 5 is going to be the lowest number, and then 7 is going to be the highest number. So again, it would be 5, and it'd be less than or equal to x, okay, and the other one would be less than or equal to 7, and we're done, and that's it. Okay, so that's increasing, max, minimum, and vice versa. So let me do one more problem, and then I can let you guys go, and you guys can practice on your own. Okay, so this one is max, min, increasing, decreasing. Okay. So max, all right, this point, looking right at this point right here, boom, this is the max. Okay, so I'm just going to write the coordinate point, make it easier. This is 8, 2. That'll be the coordinate point for the max. The minimum is the lowest point, which would be right here. Okay, so that's -10, and this is -7. So that would be -10, -7 would be the minimum point. Now, where is it increasing? Okay, the increasing. So if we look at it here, from this point to this point would be one increasing point. That would be increasing. And that would be from -10 to -7. Another increasing point would be right here. Okay, right at this point, so that would be 4 to 8. Okay, so let's write it. So again, it would be -10, and that would be less than or equal to x. And the other one increasing point would be less than or equal to -7. So that's one increasing point. Next point is basically 4 is less than or equal to x, and it has to be less than or equal to 8. And that's it. There you go. There's the two increasing points, intervals. Okay. Now decreasing, right here. Boom. It's the interval that's decreasing. Okay, so that's -2, and this one is that's -2 and -1. So all I have to write would be x. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. Didn't mean to write that. So that would be -2. Uh-oh. Oh, it's black. That's why. Oops. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Let me switch the colors here. What the heck? Give me back to red. All right. So, I didn't want to do that. Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys. This thing sometimes has a mind of its own. It just wants to write. Oh, there you go. Okay, so decreasing would basically be -2 is greater than or equal to x, and then the other one would be greater than or equal to -1. And that will be done, and that's it. So again, guys, I think we should be able to do this. Is basically just identifying the different spots, different areas, and basically putting them into in the integral notation form, and then basically finding out what those areas are. You should be able to do this, and we'll see you all later. Bye now.